I'm going to try to make this quick because I think we got a lot of good stuff to talk about tonight in our small groups. But I have a couple questions I want to throw at you. Raise your hand if you like to argue. All right, there's a couple of you. Raise your hand if your parents would say you like to argue. Okay, significantly more. Raise your hand if you just don't like to argue. If when conflict comes up, you're like, I'm just going to ignore this. Yes, I'll do whatever you say. I'm kind of in the middle. Sometimes I like to argue. There's some things that I like to argue about. There's some things that I don't like to argue about. And tonight we're going to talk about that. I'm going to drop a big word on you, and I want to know if anyone can tell me what this word means. Tonight, we're going to be talking about apologetics. Any takers? Any takers? Yes, you in the pink. What do you think it means? It's the study of apologizing. You're very close. Just kidding. I actually couldn't hear you. What'd you say? Yeah, we'll call it that. It is the study or the defense of the Christian faith. If you guys look it up in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it kind of says something different. But that's what I would just kind of roughly define it as, in kind of the context that we're going to talk about it in. The defense of the Christian faith. Everyone say apologetic. You guys are so smart. Use that word this week at some point, okay? The defense of Christianity, the defense of the Christian faith. Why is that important? You guys are like, Zach, I'm in 6th grade, I'm in 7th grade, I'm in 8th grade. I don't need to know all these theological arguments. People aren't going to be grilling me about this stuff. But I want to put you in a scenario, okay? You're at church on a Sunday or a Saturday, and there's this little kid. Everyone knows him. He comes to church. No one really knows why, because everyone calls him Atheist Andrew. And you're like, Atheist Andrew's a big deal because they call him Atheist Andrew. If you guys don't know what an atheist is, it means someone who doesn't believe in God. This kid's 6 and he doesn't believe in God, and he really likes to argue with people, right? Little atheist Andrew, he comes up to your pant leg, he tugs on it, he's really small, he's a 1st grader. And he says, hey, why do you believe in Jesus Christ? Do you guys hear that? Shh, look at me, you kids in the front. Little atheist Andrew says, pulls on your pant leg, why do you believe in Jesus Christ? How many of you guys would have an answer for him? Some of you? That's good, because we're going to talk about that. Believe it or not, some people do not believe in God. Some people don't believe in Jesus. And a lot of people have questions about it. Right? And the Bible says this in 1 Peter 3:15, but in your hearts, honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense. Everyone say defense. Apologetics, remember. Always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you. Yet do it with gentleness and respect. You guys, the Bible says that we should always be prepared to make that defense. Right? We should always be prepared to make a defense for the hope that we have in Jesus. Even if little 1st grade atheist Andrew, you're like, I'm so much smarter than this kid. I could literally kick him so far. Right? If little atheist Andrew comes up and asks you, you should have an answer. You know, some of you guys believe in God. I think there's a lot of people who that's a scary thought, someone asking you what you believe about Jesus. And like I said, we're going to figure that out tonight. We got a lot of good stuff in the discussions that we're going to break up into. And you know, there's other people than just little atheist Andrew who are going to ask you this question. Some people are going to ask you a version of this question, and their intent is to lead you away. Their intent is to steal your faith. Their intent is to get you not to believe in Jesus, to take away the hope that you have. And what do you do if you don't have an answer? Right? You guys, we need to be able to speak the truth of Jesus to people. We need to be able to speak the gospel to people. But in order to do that first and to do that well, we have to know it, right? We have to study it. You have to be prepared, like it says in this verse. And lastly, some of you guys might be asking that same question. What do I believe about Jesus Christ? And that's a really good question. Some people would say that is the most important question. And we're going to talk about that. So I'm going to dismiss you guys. I hope by the end of this, you're able to answer atheist, Andrew. And leaders, if you guys could be back here by 8:05, we'll talk a little bit more, then we'll worship some. You are dismissed.